area where there are people that would like to do us harm.
Any other indicators of Iranian naval activity?
Captain Roger, also the watch captain, bring the ship to action stations.
Action stations, action stations. Ship's company, brace for shot.
A powerful naval task group has sailed east from home ports in Canada to one of the most lawless maritime regions in the world, the Persian Gulf. Now in command of Combined Task Force 150, its mission is to lead an international coalition of warships in the fight against maritime terrorism and piracy, using whatever means necessary. Deployed to this dangerous theater of operations on active duty for 4 months, these are the men and women who make up the crew of Her Majesty's Canadian ships Iroquois,
Lock her in, guys!
Calgary, and Protector. The waterways bounded by the Horn of Africa to the Gulf of Oman and Strait of Hormuz are ancient shipping passageways connecting the east to the west. 2/3 of the world's goods flow through the narrow choke points here, but this region has also become one of the most dangerous on the planet. The area is rife with widespread smuggling of drugs and weapons by terrorists and daily attacks by pirates on transiting merchant vessels. Commodore Bob Davison is in command of CTF 150, leading the coalition from his flagship, HMCS Iroquois.
We're looking for terrorists. That's number one. We're looking for any activity, contraband that they're moving to raise funds. But on a broader scale, there's a lot of piracy going on in this particular area. It's turned out to be pretty lucrative for those that are operating out of Somalia. And so, we've got to try and deter that, minimize it to the extent we can.
Iroquois is a tribal-class destroyer. Although she was built in the early 70s, she's fully outfitted with modern weapons, sensors, and command and control systems. She's well suited for the perils of intelligence gathering for the international coalition.
There's dangers associated with being at sea. The sea is a tough taskmaster. The weather can be pretty bad. But we're also operating in an area where there are people that would like to do us harm. They'll try and do us harm on choke points. They'll try and do us harm in harbor. They would do us harm anywhere if they could. We have to watch out for that.
If Iroquois is considered the brains of the fleet, HMCS Calgary is sometimes referred to as the brawn.
Calgary is a Halifax-class frigate, a general-purpose frigate. So it's truly a workhorse. They'll be out there every day, working hard, doing boarding operations, hails, looking for contacts.
From on board this frontline combatant, the ship's company conducts daily approach operations, gathering information from the crews of small dhows or fishing boats. This intelligence is used to build an RMP, a recognized maritime picture of the seafaring activity in the theater of operations. Commander Kelly Larkin is the commanding officer and the captain of HMCS Calgary. He's responsible for the safety and well-being of the 240 sailors on board.
We're here to increase regional stability and reassure people who conduct their local activities at sea from Pakistan, Iran, Oman, or further afield if it's fishing or what have you, so that we can share with them why it is that we're here and help them to understand that if they can share information about the normal patterns of life in this region, we can help to keep the body of water open and support the free movement of trade.
The CO also brings a strategic perspective to his work in this part of the world.
Weapons and the movement of people who are directly related to terrorism. If we can prevent that, then we are having a direct impact in support of our operations in Afghanistan, trying to stabilize that country and provide a secure environment where our folks can help with the nation building there.
Currently on patrol in the Gulf of Oman in support of Combined Task Force 150, Commander Larkin must ensure that certain strict criteria are met before ordering a naval boarding party to conduct an approach operation.
There's always a legal basis for conducting a boarding, first and foremost. Once we determine why it is that we're going to conduct this boarding, I'll have the boarding officer up here. He will brief me on intended tactics and how he intends to conduct the boarding. And then I'll get the entire boarding party together and brief them on the rules of engagement and give them my specific instructions to conduct the operation.
Any other indicators of Iranian naval activity?
Nothing else, sir.
Okay, yep, continue to watch in that direction and let me know if there's any changes.
Aye, sir.
Calgary CO is informed by the operations room officer that a fishing dhow is drifting just outside Iran's territorial waters. Commander Larkin weighs the opportunity to gather intelligence from the dhow's crew against the danger of accidentally entering Iranian waters.
Okay, so this appears to be a Pakistani fishing dhow. He's about 4 miles outside of Iranian territorial waters. He is also being set by the ocean current towards their waters. So the intention will be to send away the boarding party. We will not go aboard the dhow unless there are any other suspicious indicators, but we are going to make an approach and exchange information with them. Try, just work your way through the languages, please, XO, and see if he waves a response.
When a warship approaches a vessel of interest, or VOI, the first request for communication comes by radio. The boarding hail, as it's known, follows strict Navy protocol. The warship identifies herself and references the authority for her action. The intention to approach is then announced. Should a VOI choose not to respond to a hail, the warship may be given approval by the Commodore of CTF 150 to escalate the approach, including the use of force. After attempting the hail in several local languages, the ship's translator still has not received any response from the dhow. Suddenly, activity is noticed on the deck of the fishing vessel.
They just unfurled an Iranian flag on?
Did they?
They've done this before.
Deftly switching flags as a matter of tactical convenience could, in this case, be a warning to Calgary that this dhow's master does not wish to be boarded by an international coalition warship boarding party.
Okay. So he switched from Pakistani to Iranian.
I gather. You still got what I see as the Pakistani, but it's just green.
Okay. Well, we'll still do the approach and exchange information with him and see what he has to say. It's
typical tactic.
Yeah, that's fine. It's completely non-escalatory. It's simply an exchange of information, and if they don't want to do so, that's fine. No problem. We will withdraw and carry on. All right. Any besides what we've seen in the last few minutes? Any other anything unusual? Okay. Boarding officer, what I want you to do is to conduct an approach. I do not want you to go aboard the vessel, even if invited, okay? Stay in the rib, all right, so we're ready to recover quickly if we need to for any reason.
The Naval Boarding Party is a highly regarded group of volunteers who are proficient in marksmanship, strength training, and unarmed combat. Away from the protection of the mothership, the very survival of a boarding party could depend upon its quick judgment and razor-sharp reaction times.
They also go through a process of environmental acclimatization, which means being outside, working in the hot climate, working with all of their protective equipment on, and adjusting to the environment that they're going to be doing their business. And then it's up to me to get the ship into a position, find a vessel that we're either going to approach to share information with and ask them for information, or actually conduct a boarding.
The boarding party assembles on the deck, armed with a variety of weapons, including Sig Sauer 9mm semi-automatic pistols, MP5 machine guns, pepper spray, and batons. The team waits for the CO's briefing for this operation.
Okay, team, we have another pair of fishermen. We'll make the approach. We'll exchange information. Expect no hostility, and you retain the inherent right of self-defense. All right? If I get any indications of Iranian naval activity to the northeast, you'll be recalled, and we'll recover you and the rib, and then we'll open to the south. We are in international waters. We're 4 miles outside of territorial waters, so we have sufficient time and sea room to do this. Okay? Any questions? Alpha on guardrail.
6 hours. 8-round magazines load and be ready.
Are you declaring an emergency, sir?
Watch all episodes of Ice Pilots. Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required. Download Veely now.
HMCS Calgary's commanding officer, Commander Kelly Larkin, has prepared the frigate for the approach operation. Calgary's been maneuvered into a position about 200 to 300 yards off the vessel of interest. An approach operation conducted within 4 miles of Iranian territorial waters presents the very real threat of confrontation with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. The country has been openly hostile to the presence of the international coalition in the past. The approach operation must be done quickly. The boarding party closes up on Calgary's deck. The Dow still has not answered Calgary's request for communications. It has little idea of what to expect. In this theater of operations, a simple dhow could be carrying illegal weapons or drugs. Weapons loaded, the boarding party prepares to board the rib. Sub-Lieutenant Dan Kim is Calgary's boarding party team leader, referred to as Alpha 1.
We want to find out about the routine of the ship we're visiting, find out any routines in the local area, and generally we're just checking on the welfare, the well-being, and what they think of the coalition, and how they feel about the coalition, and basically find out any intelligence if they know anything suspicious in the area, mainly about due to smuggling, piracy, and things like that, and just to find out what the general maritime picture is going to be in the area.
Members of this highly trained team are sensitive to cultural differences thousands of miles from home, regardless of the situations they may encounter. Lieutenant Commander Arvinder Aujla is Calgary's executive officer.
It's very, very hard to know what is happening in the region if you don't understand what is going on in the region. And we all come here with our perceptions. The challenge is to come at it with not the focus or the lenses that we come to with Western ideas, but know what the people here are all about so that we understand what they're doing.
Up ladder!
The biggest thing we do about these boardings, we go and we try to find out and establish patterns and look for something that may not fit that pattern or mold, and then go to the next step if it's required.
Capable of speeds well over 20 knots, the boarding party rapidly approaches the dhow. Optics might suggest to the dhow's crew that this group is acting alone, but in reality, its every move is being closely watched. Alpha 1 will be in constant contact with the officer of the watch on Calgary's bridge, with the CO and XO close by. The duty watch in the operations room will be monitoring the rib and the dhow's proximity to Iranian waters, while scanning the radar screens for any signs of Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Can you ask for the master's name?
Kareem. Ask him if it's okay. Could we come alongside? Okay.
They approached cautiously to watch for any indications of, that they weren't happy with our presence there, but that wasn't the case. So the boat made his approach, and then they verbally exchanged information in the fellow's language, which really does a lot to boost confidence.
You're speaking Urdu, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have several linguists in the ship's company. My executive officer speaks some Arabic and Hindi, and one of the members of my boarding party speaks Urdu and Hindi and Arabic and English.
They said they're from Chabar.
Chabar? Iranian?
The master, he was very busy. He was more engaged in mending his nets, but we talked to the engineer. Their primary language was Farsi, but we have a member on our team, Master Seaman Mufti. He speaks Urdu fluently, and we're talking to them in Urdu.
Although the dhow's master is not unfriendly, he is not forthcoming either. Meanwhile, back in Calgary's bridge, a second dhow has been spotted in the area, just a few hundred meters away. The decision is made to move on and approach this second fishing vessel.
Alpha 3, take pictures of the stuff on deck.
The boarding party uses a video camera to record the dhow and its visible cargo. This will be valuable information to pass along to the coalition warships. This time, the group is welcomed alongside the vessel. Master Seaman Mufti, fluent in Urdu, successfully establishes an immediate rapport with the fishermen in a common tongue. Gifts of fruit and water are much appreciated in his hot climate and help pave the way for human intelligence gathering, or humans.
What was the name again? Al-Shura?
Suraj, Al-Suraj, which means...
How do you spell it?
S-U-R...
Yep.
Suraj, R-A-J. S-U-R-A-J, Suraj. Which means the sun.
The sun?
Yeah.
That's the name of the ship?
That's the name of the ship.
Can you ask them if they know anything suspicious in the area? If they're willing to tell us anything?
Okay. यहाँ पे जो कोई ऐसा जो कश्ती आपको मालूम है जो आदमी या चरस वगैरह ऊपर नीचे लेकर जाते हैं ये नहीं मालूम.
With no prospect of gaining information about any unusual activity in the area, Alpha 1 turns to a more pedestrian line of questioning. These types of seemingly mundane exchanges may at first glance appear to be unimportant, but understanding the daily routine of life within the theater of operations paints a much larger maritime picture of the region.
So the hold is half full. They're going to keep fishing until the hold is full, and then they'll go back.
Okay, how far out do you normally come?
अब कितना दूर आएंगे आपके घर से समंदर कितना दूर आएंगे आप 40 मील 20 मील 20 kilometers 25 kilometers takes half a day.
Observing the approach op from his vantage point on Calgary's bridge, Commander Larkin spots large packages on the dhow. He draws Alpha 1's attention to them.
Alpha 1, I confirm those packages are actually just styrofoam floats for the nets, over.
तो ये ऊपर पानी के ऊपर फिर आपको मालूम हो गया हाँ जी अच्छा बहुत ठीक ठाक हाँ सही है yeah that's what they are for float for the nets.
This approach operation has been successful. The boarding party will return with more than intelligence for the international coalition. Master Seaman Mufti humbly accepts the gift of a fish offered by the fishermen.
बहुत शुक्रिया
I want to pass on to the captain from our captain. Captain very much appreciates him letting us come alongside, talk to him, and exchange information.
and hope to see him later on, and have a safe trip.
अच्छा जी कप्तान साहब हमारा कप्तान से आपको बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया.
Suddenly, Alpha 1 notices something highly unusual about a previously unseen crew member standing behind the dow's master.
तो बताना हमारा जहाज 335
Guy in the black.
Channel 16
watch, gold watch. Take a good
अच्छा
picture
जी
of him.
Channel 16 पे हमको बुलाओ.
In this war-torn part of the world, the rare sight of a gold watch could be a sign of riches gained through illegal activities. The work aboard this dhow may not be as innocent as it appears. The images recorded by the boarding party team could be a valuable addition to the coalition intelligence database.
All right, tell him thanks very much, and we're heading back. Okay.
अच्छा साहब हम लोग अभी इजाजत दे दीजिए. बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया आपका.
Alpha 1, copy
खुदा
over.
आपके साथ रहे. अल्लाह अकबर.
Allah Akbar.
अल्लाह अकबर.
With no hostility from the dow's master and no interference from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the boarding party can count this operation as a success. Upon reboarding the mothership, Alpha 1 debriefs the CO.
Okay, we just got back from both the two dhows there, sir. The two dhows. Each of the masters own their own. They're on a fleet of their own. They have the two ships, the two dhows. They're both from the same village. They come up from Chabahar, normally 10 days out, and then back in for 2 days. They're going to head back in about 3 or 4 days. They said their holes are about half full. Flags, Iranian flags. The green flag we've seen earlier, it was just a signal saying that they have nets in the water and they don't want anybody crossing ahead.
Okay.
And they're both
flag?
Iranian. The green.
Yeah, but they also flew a white flag, did they say?
I didn't see the white flag, no.
Did they indicate if they'd seen any suspicious activity?
The first ship said they're not afraid of any piracy or anything like that. They don't get bothered by it. But smuggling, they said they don't have any idea about what's going on, and they weren't really forthcoming and talking about that subject when Master Muffs talked about it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir. Everything else we'll put into the after action report.
All right. Good. Okay. Good work by the team.
All right.
Being approached by a heavily armed 4,000-ton frigate can be, without a doubt, an intimidating experience for the local fishermen. The International Coalition of Warships is keenly aware of the daunting impression it makes. CTF 150's mission is not to overwhelm, but to bring security and stability to the Persian Gulf region.
Maybe instead of guarding or peacekeeping on land, you could compare this to peacekeeping at sea, making sure that a sailor from Indonesia can take his vessel, or Singapore can take his merchant vessel, and be confident that his cargo will get to Dubai, and from Dubai it will get to the European communities, from European communities to North America.
2.5 million square miles are being patrolled by an international coalition of warships that rarely see each other but are in constant communication. The strategy of the task force is to disperse its assets throughout the region, covering as much territory as possible. This tactic minimizes the ongoing terrorist threat by making it difficult to target more than one vessel at a time. Today, the nearest ship to HMCS Calgary is HMCS Protector. Although she too is in the area south of the territorial waters of Pakistan and Iran, she's too far away to be seen from Calgary's bridge. Protector has a very different role in this mission.
Protector is our AOR, our auxiliary oil replenishment vessel, AOR, and their job is to provide all of the support capability. The ship also has a boarding party. It has warfighting capability, so we'll use it in a much broader role than simply as a support vessel. So it'll go around and deliver fuel. It'll deliver rations, but when it's not doing that role, it'll also be patrolling areas and contributing to maritime stability.
A vessel of interest has been noticed. The nearest ship is Protector. She's been ordered to conduct an approach operation. Skillfully maneuvering a frigate alongside a fishing boat is tough. Imagine approaching a small vessel in the massive AOR. Fully loaded, she weighs almost 25,000 tons, about 6 times more than Calgary. It's comparable to the difference between a sports car and a family SUV. Every change in speed and bearing requires careful calculation. Commanding Officer Sean Cantillon is the captain of the auxiliary oil replenisher.
3 personnel, 1 person just came out of the after house.
What speed is he tracking at? We look like we're closing. 6.5. Yeah, let's drop our speed down there, so watch, come on.
The vessel of interest, or VOI, appears to be a large merchant dhow, the kind often used for transporting goods. From a distance, nothing appears out of the ordinary, except that attempts to hail the dhow are met with silence.
Got the Dow now tracking at 136.
Yeah, agree visually, Ocelot, step over to 135.
This merchant vessel is not flying the flag of its country, forcing Commander Cantillon to rely solely on any intelligence that may already exist in the Coalition's records. It's not much for Protector's boarding party to go on.
We're just running his name right now, we've got it. So we'll run that through the database. Once I get a sense of, if I get some info from the database, I'll call you on the radio and give you the update. It's whether or not he's been picked up before. I mean, they seem completely indifferent. There was one guy on the upper deck sort of scrubbing it, and now he's gone.
The boarding party assembles on the deck below the bridge wing to receive their final instructions from Commander Cantillon.
For rules of engagement, boarding party rules of engagement will be in effect should it transform into a boarding. For the approach op, self-defense remains in effect. There's been no marks or signs of any hostile intent or hostile act whatsoever from this vessel. So remain safe, conduct the approach op hail, and return to mother unless one of the tripwires are hit. Any questions? Roger, carry on.
Boarding party, attention! Turning right, go! Out!
With just seconds to spare before the boarding party reaches the dhow, information is received from the Coalition database. The VOI fits the description of 2 dhows that have been recently boarded by Coalition warships. From his vantage point on the bridge wing, Commander Cantillon watches the approach op unfold.
A little further. Alpha 1, this is Father, affirmative. Okay, pass to ops that they've been given permission to board, and they're going on board.
Aboard the dhow, the boarding party is trained to be courteous but professional. The dhow's crew is gathered, and Alpha 1 begins to ask questions. The answers will help build a recognized maritime picture of recent activity in the area.
So we've basically, the coalition, as I've said before, is just here to try to help us provide maritime security for the region so you can carry on with your business. We appreciate your patience today. So I just would like to confirm your flag of registry. We noticed you weren't flying a flag today.
हमने देखा कि आपके पास कोई झंडा नहीं था।
झंडा नहीं।
आप कौन से देश से हैं?
हम इंडिया से।
इंडिया।
Okay.
इंडिया।
And it's normal practice for you to not fly a flag while underway.
आप जब समुद्र में जाते हैं, आप क्या इंडिया का झंडा पीछे नहीं लगाते?
इंडिया में हम समुद्र में नहीं लगाते हैं, उधर इंडिया में जाएगा, पोर्ट के अंदर लगेगा।
हमेशा ऐसे ही करते हैं?
इंडिया के सरहद में जाएगा लगेगा।
Okay, when he gets closer to India, that's when he'll display the flag. But normally on the ocean, wide ocean, he doesn't have the flag on.
And your normal cargo is?
आप कौन सा माल लेके जाते हैं?
किधर से?
ना
सामान से लाता है चारकुल।
क्या? कोला?
कोयला लाता है। दुबई से चावल शक्कर लेके जाता है सामान।
Coal, rice or sugar from Somalia to Dubai. He takes coal from Somalia and rice and sugar from Dubai. Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware of any human smuggling in the region at all?
इधर कोई आपको कुछ सुना, कोई बंदा, कोई शिप गलत माल लेके जाता है, जैसे आदमी को एक जगह से दूसरी जगह?
हम नहीं देखा है, नहीं सुना है।
नहीं सुना? No, he's never heard of it and never seen it.
Okay. Yeah, have you noticed any piracy in the area? Any problems recently?
कोई बंदे दिखे, कोई किश्ती जो आपकी किश्ती चोरी करने आए, ऐसा कोई बंदा दिखा इधर?
हम नहीं देखा है बंदा, हम देखेगा तो
चोरी करने वाला
नहीं देखा है।
नहीं, कभी नहीं हुआ?
नहीं हुआ।
No, he's never seen that.
Okay, so you've never encountered any yourself?
आपको इधर आपको कोई मुश्किल तो नहीं आई?
अभी कोई मुश्किल नहीं, कोई मुश्किल नहीं।
And you don't know anyone who's been a victim of piracy recently?
और आपका कोई दोस्त, कोई गांव वाला, कोई और किश्ती वाला जिसकी कोई चोरी हुई हो पानी पे?
अभी नहीं हुआ, किसका चोरी
किसी के नहीं सुना?
किसी के नहीं हुआ।
No, he's never heard of any of that.
Okay. So we thank you for your patience while we get a better feel for what's going on in the region. We're not going to delay you anymore. We'll disembark our team and carry on and wish you the best in your voyage.
Okay, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया। हम चलेंगे और आपको जाने देंगे। बहुत अच्छे रोक लिया।
ओके, शुक्रिया।
और आप चलें। ठीक है, शुक्रिया जी।
Thank you very much.
Every bit of information gathered is of value to the coalition, no matter how mundane it may seem at first blush. The Dow's master claims not to have seen any signs of smuggling or piracy.
This is Hollywood. Roger.
This approach op has garnered valuable information about the reason for the increase of Dows in the region. Anxious to receive the new intel, Commander Cantillon meets Alpha 1 in the dispersal area for a debrief on the operation.
The reason he's going back to India is because it's the end of the season for him.
Monsoon season again.
On his way home to shut her down for 3 months. So similar story to
this explains why we're seeing a lot of Dows then in ballast. Because they're empty, they're heading home. And
yeah, he doesn't want to pay the insurance on it for 3 months, so he's going to go and shut it down, get rid of the crew.
Wow, okay. And so that's good intel. Excellent.
A natural local response to the weather in the area now confirms intelligence previously gathered by the coalition forces. The effect of the quickly approaching monsoon season on this Dow's activity will be shared with the coalition. HMCS Calgary is currently in the box, the very heart of the theater of operations. As a patrolling frigate for Combined Task Force 150, her mission is to gather intelligence. This knowledge creates a maritime picture of the dangerous region for the coalition forces. Establishing the patterns of legal activity makes it easier to recognize the patterns of illegal activities. The ship's company knows they're in the box to halt illegal goings-on using whatever means necessary.
We're well suited to send right up to the front line, wherever that may be, to conduct the business of the mission. And if that's full-on naval combat, we're capable and trained to do that.
The survival of crew and ship rely on well-honed warfare skills, but maintaining such a state of combat readiness requires almost daily drilling. While departments train individually most days, nothing can beat Battle Bag Training Day for exposing weaknesses and areas for improvement in Calgary. The entire ship's company will be put through real-time scenarios, unleashing extreme simulated combat situations on an unsuspecting crew. Only a handful of officers know what to expect on Battle Bag Day. Petty Officer First Class Andy Ferguson is the Senior Combat Information Operator for HMCS Calgary.
This morning's training we'll be conducting on board. We'll simulate multi-threat, above water, anti-surface, and maybe some anti-submarine warfare. To do that, I'll be acting as the games master. My role will be guiding the training using our training system within our combat control system to inject tracks, different types of threat, which the operators will have to respond to.
Specially designed computer scenarios called tracks create the war games about to be let loose on Calgary's crew today. Perhaps the term war game is a bit of a misnomer. In the heat of the Battle Bag Day, combat scenarios are taken every bit as seriously as any operational mission.
We do this to keep our skill sets up. Even when we're deployed, we have to make sure that we're ready at all times. It took about a year to get our training to where we are now, but we have to make sure that we maintain that level of training even while we're deployed.
Today's drill will test the leadership and combat communication skills of the officers on the bridge and in the operations room.
I stay in the operations room to fight the ship. My executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Aujla, is up here on the bridge, and he fulfills the command role to manage the repair of battle damage. And we take care of casualties, we coordinate all that through him. He does that on my behalf.
Battle Bag Training Day begins with a report of suspicious activity near the frigate. Petty Officer Ferguson reports to the operations room officer that an FBA, or fighter-bomber attack, has been spotted on the ship's radar. 2 additional aircraft are also approaching Calgary.
Yes, sir. Set up one hostile MPA. In addition, sir, now 2 suspect aircraft to the west, bearing 284, strength 2, 118 miles, sir, issuing a warning 1, and then issuing warning 1 at 90 miles.
Got it, roger.
Northwest copy.
Nav Convoy tactical signal, aircraft warning yellow.
The threat to Calgary escalates when the ORO, the operations room officer, reports that the first aircraft has ignored the order to stay out of the frigate's restricted airspace.
Oral Swick. Recommend close within 50 nautical miles, issue warning 2. Stand by. Oral Captain, agree. If inbound aircraft close to 50 miles, issue warning 2.
Oral, roger. Swick, copy.
Good copy. Sit back to AW.
Suddenly, the first hostile aircraft retreats, but the 2 behind it continue to hurtle towards Calgary at over 600 miles per hour.
Captain, sir, issued a warning 1 2 times. No response, sir. Holding warning until 50 miles.
Captain, roger, agree.
Based on the speed and flight path of the 2 aircraft, Commander Larkin decides their intention is hostile. His command springs the ship's company into battle positions.
Captain, roger. Also the watch, Captain. Also the watch. Bring the ship to action stations.
Aye, sir, action stations.
I, sir, recommend standing on flying stations. Boats mate, make the pipe. Bring the ship to action stations. Action dress on the bridge. Also watch as a con, action conning in effect.
Action stations, action stations. Action stations, action stations.
Action stations, action stations.
The ship's company prepares for AAW, anti-aircraft warfare.
All right, Captain, sir, AAW warfare priority is correct, issuing warning 2. Hostile aircraft now approaching from the west.
Captain, roger. Also the watch, Captain.
Also, sir.
Inbound aircraft on a bearing of 280, 50 miles, assessed as a threat. Brief your lookouts. Lookout bearing 280.
Roger. Forward lookout. Now 50 miles.
The 2 potential missile-carrying aircraft are now nearly close enough to Calgary to be seen from her port side.
Oral Swick. Oral, they respond to first reading on warning 2, reissuing warning 2.
The worst appears to be imminent for the ship's company. The lead aircraft fires a guided missile at the frigate from less than 50 miles away.
2.5 minutes, Calgary. 2.5 minutes.
Hostile east-sun, bearing 282. Threat is vampire.
Also watch, Captain. Possible missile release bearing 280, 45 miles.
Come left 260, set watch big side. Roger, left 260.
There are 2 types of protection systems in Calgary. Soft kill systems, which use jamming or decoys to confuse a missile's guidance system, and hard kill systems, which attempt to detect and destroy incoming projectiles.
Watch for visual indication of inbound missile bearing 280.
Proceed with soft kill and hard kill.
The ORO calls for the launch of the soft kill system. Calgary's first line of defense is the super rapid chaff. It fires cartridges that spread a small cloud of shredded aluminum, which distracts or seduces radar-guided missiles from their target. The chaff does its job. But within seconds, the crew is faced with a potentially catastrophic situation.
A small boat approaching the port bow at 1 mile. Roger, small boat at 1 mile.
Oswald Captain, issue warning 1 on the small boat.
Yes, sir.
HMCS Calgary is on patrol for illegal drug smuggling and terrorist activity as part of the International Coalition for Combined Task Force 150. The frigate is currently in the Gulf of Oman, edging the territorial waters of Iran, Oman, and Pakistan. Today is Battle Bag Day, and terrifyingly realistic combat scenarios will pit the ship's crew against attacks both large and small simultaneously. 2 hostile aircraft continue to close on Calgary, and now a small boat has been spotted. These agile go-fasts have been used by terrorists for everything from drugs and weapons smuggling to suicide attacks. As the ship's radar tracks the go-fast, lookouts confirm it's carrying a deadly weapon, an RPG, a rocket-propelled grenade.
Oswald Captain, what's the range to the small boat?
1.5 miles, sir, and we have an RPG.
Confirm he fired RPG?
No, we just have an RPG visual. He has not fired yet.
Captain, roger.
Commander Larkin's rules of engagement forbid him from giving the order to fire until the aggressively approaching vessel has been warned, or actually opens fire on the frigate, the modern equivalent to don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes.
Oswald Captain, if he shows hostile intent or commits a hostile act, take self-defensive action using 50 cal.
Aye, sir.
And also the Watch Captain, when small boat closes to 1/2 mile, 1,000 yards, issue warning shots.
Aye, sir. Captain, sir, second officer watch.
Captain.
Small boat engaging with the RPG. We are engaging with 50 cals.
Captain, roger, take self-defensive action.
Aye, sir.
Small boats have fired an RPG. A ship's company, brace for shock. Ship's company, brace for shock. Ship's company, unbrace. Ship's company, unbrace. Conduct rapid survey. Rapid survey out.
The small boat is neutralized, but not before striking Calgary with a rocket-propelled grenade. The rapid survey crew scrambles to assess the damage.
Fire! 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 Cruise water base number 1! Fire! 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 Fire in cruise water number 3! Back away! Check 16 mess. Checking 16 mess. Doors cold. Clear.
A fire at sea is devastating. The first members on the scene fight back the flames until support arrives.
At the door! Open the door!
In the operations room, the battle is turned into anti-aircraft warfare. The ORO prepares Calgary's big guns, the hard kill system, ASMD, air surface missile defense. The Sea Sparrows, deck-mounted amidships, can reach speeds of Mach 2.5 soon after they're launched. But even with these defenses, it may be too late.
Everyone, base done! Hostile ESM bearing 281. Threat is a vampire. Recommend ASMD course 260.
Oswald Captain.
Sir.
Possible inbound missile range bearing 280, range 45 miles.
Aye, sir.
Firing at 281.
Suddenly, one of the incoming enemy aircraft fires a missile. It's headed directly toward Calgary.
ORO Captain, take inbound vampire bearing 280.
Aye, sir.
Bases the missile away. 15 seconds. Ship's company, brace for shock. Brace for shock. Ship's company, brace for shock. Seconds there. Missile inbound. Aces of kill.
We have a kill, sir. Slash 8229 with 1 timestamp.
The Sea Sparrow has successfully intercepted or splashed the vampire. But before the crew can breathe a sigh of relief, the lead aircraft returns and fires 2 more missiles.
Hostile in standby. Feathers Vampire bearing 282. Recommended SMD course 260.
Chaff cartridges are fired to confuse the incoming missiles by throwing up a wall of shredded radar-reflecting aluminum. Meanwhile, firefighters work to prevent complete shipboard disaster as they fight back the flames caused by the rocket-propelled grenade.
The sea's swamped! Opening the door! Opening the door! Track him up! Track him up! Sweep!
Back in the operations room, 2 more Sea Sparrows are launched.
Pop off bearing at 28218. What's there?
Oro Captain, take inbound Vampire bearing 280. Hi, sir.
Hey, system, missile away.
30 seconds.
Oswald Captain, for exercise, come hard right. Open sea whiz.
Hey, system, kill.
Cause kill.
Splash the first one.
Splash the first missile, sir.
Captain Roger.
All positions, missiles inbound. Splash the first one, stand by.
Splash one.
Second, Captain, sir, I missed the second missile. Taken.
Second missile has missed.
Excellent, sir.
Yes.
Copy, one missile.
Copy.
The second guided missile is moments away from striking Calgary. Her last line of defense is called into action. The Mk-15 Phalanx Close-In Weapon System, or CWIS. The CWIS is a ferocious 6-barrel Gatling gun, capable of firing 20mm ammunition at 3,000 rounds per minute and shredding any airborne threat.
Second missile still inbound.
Schedule.
Cause shoot!
Hey, system, kill.
Cause kill.
Splash the second missile with the gun.
Second missile has been splashed by guns. Aircraft continues to close.
Although the second missile has been shot down, one of the aircraft has not changed its course. It's headed directly toward the frigate.
Captain, sir, aircraft is still inbound now, bearing 289, 16 miles. This is FBA.
Captain Roger, take with gun.
Took your permission to take FBA, closing now 16 miles, 500 knots.
With the hostile aircraft less than 20 miles from the ship, there is only one decision to make. The enemy must be shot down before it reaches Calgary and her crew. The CWIS is engaged one more time.
Captain, sir, we splashed one aircraft. One aircraft is still inbound now from the west.
Even with drastic measures, the ship is still not out of danger. The crew prepares to defend against the last incoming aircraft.
Cause launch.
Taking with missile.
Launching one missile on 827.
Commander Larkin orders the firing of the Sea Sparrow at the second enemy aircraft.
Hey, system miss.
Launch another one.
Inbound FBA.
Captain, sir, miss with the first missile, 8207, probably to do the maneuver. Launching another one on 8207.
The aircraft takes evasive action, and the second Sea Sparrow misses its target. With the aircraft less than 10 miles away, the CWIS is engaged.
Take with the gun.
Still 4 miles, sir.
Captain Roger.
Cause shoot!
XO Captain, brace for shock.
Ship's company, unbrace. Unbrace, conduct rapid survey.
Although the CWIS missed its target, the aircraft breaks off the engagement and turns away.
Nothing visual reported from the bridge, sir.
Okay, Oro, so the last captain, that completes this training event.
The final aircraft escapes unharmed. Battle Bag Day ends with the extinguishing of the onboard fire. An intensive debrief of the drill will follow. The ship's senior officers will examine the strengths and weaknesses that have been revealed in preparation for the next Battle Bag Day.
What you witnessed was a simulated battle scenario which involved the whole ship, not just the operations team that were fighting the ship, but the command and control organization. All of these skills are perishable, so if you don't practice it periodically, you'll forget some basic thing that you should be doing when the real thing happens.
The crew's actions today have proven it has the warfare skills necessary for battle in this part of the world, or any other for that matter. Patrolling these perilous waters and being on guard for unexpected attacks from hostile forces are vital for maintaining maritime security. The ship's company now switches gears to its primary mission, gathering intelligence for Combined Task Force 150 in the international fight against terrorism and piracy.